It's Wednesday. I'm Carl Lazus. This is CNN Student News, bringing you 10 minutes of commercial-free headlines from around the globe. In fact, our first story is about a global response. This international reaction is aimed at Israel, and it is not positive. Protesters around the world speaking out against Israel. The United Nations Security Council criticizing the violence. Turkey calling it a massacre. Even the U.S., one of Israel's closest allies, says it's open to an investigation. All of this is in response to Monday, when Israeli troops stormed a group of ships bringing aid to Gaza. Israel set up a blockade to control what goods are allowed into Gaza. This group of ships tried to break that blockade. Some of the activists who were taken into custody during the incident have been released, and Israel says the aid that was on board the ships has been delivered into Gaza. The anger is over what happened on those ships, and the two sides tell very different stories.
They have a history of arms smuggling and deadly terror. On board the ship, we found weapons prepared in advance and used against our forces. The organizers' intent was violent, their method was violent, and the results were unfortunately violent.
There could not have been guns on board. And besides, there's no evidence of it. There's live streaming from the Turkish boat. You see Israeli soldiers jumping out of helicopters onto the boats shooting. There's no crossfire. Had there been crossfire at close range, some Israeli soldier would have been shot.
We're checking out a couple security headlines now, starting with what could be a serious blow to the Al-Qaeda terrorist group. It reportedly announced the death of Mustafa Abu Yazid yesterday. He was the number 3 man in Al-Qaeda and the commander of its operations in Afghanistan. Yazid was also responsible for maintaining Al-Qaeda's relationships with other terrorist groups like the Taliban. One group of experts says his death is one of the most significant blows against Al-Qaeda recently, but it also pointed out that the terrorist organization plans for these kinds of losses. In the United States, Major Nidal Hasan, whom you see here, made his first court appearance in connection with last November's attack at Fort Hood, Texas. Hasan, who is a U.S. Army psychiatrist, is accused of killing 13 people in a shooting spree. Yesterday's hearing was the military version of a grand jury. Hasan answered questions that were asked by the judge, and his lawyers asked for an extension so they can gather evidence for the case. The judge agreed to that request.
Is this legit? The U.S. sees more tornadoes per year than any other country. True. The U.S. has an average of about 1,000 tornadoes a year. Canada is second with around 100.
Around 25% of those tornadoes form in an area that's called Tornado Alley. Colorado is part of that, and it's where this tornado showed up on Monday. These pictures are amazing. Look at this. Twisters like this one can sometimes do a lot of damage, but early reports indicated no injuries or major problems with this one, just a lot of power lines knocked down. Tornado Alley sees a lot of twisters pop up in the spring, but forecasters point out that these storms can happen anywhere at any time. Attorney General Eric Holder says he's launching a criminal investigation into the Gulf of Mexico oil spill. And down in the Gulf, there's more bad news for the fishing industry. Officials have closed off more waters to fishing. Nearly a third of the Gulf now is off limits. Meanwhile, BP is starting the cut and cap plan. We told you about this yesterday. They're going to cut part of the leaking oil well and then put a cap on it, hence cut and cap. Making the cut, though, could increase the flow of oil spilling into the Gulf by up to 20%. And you've heard a lot from Rob Marciano since this oil leak started. He's one of our reporters covering the story from down on the Gulf Coast. Today, he explains how hurricane season could impact the oily situation.
Almost 5 years later, signs of Hurricane Katrina are still evident in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana. And this year's NOAA hurricane forecast calls for up to 23 named storms. Oil from the BP spill is already in the barrier wetlands here.
Scared to death. You saw Pasalucha, you saw the Pelicans. Imagine a storm rolling that oil up and bringing it in here and laying it down.
That's just the kind of unimaginable devastation that Dauphin Island, Alabama is trying to avoid.
What you'll see here is the tide is down right now, so the water is below the basket.
The Alabama National Guard is erecting a 4.5-mile barrier to keep the oil from impacting protected wildlife here. The baskets are filled with a polymer powder, which can turn the wet oil into a solid, making it easier to collect by hand. But what happens to these oil barriers if a major hurricane hits?
They'll be gone just like everything else around here, too. That Category 5 will take out the houses and take out every building and structure on this island, probably.
We're out in part of the thick oil here in the Gulf of Mexico. What does the oil do for hurricanes? Well, it would have a hard time developing right over the oil because the oil actually suppresses evaporation. But that's actually one of the ways that the water actually cools. So between the lack of evaporation and the darkness of that oil, it actually heats up the Gulf. It's just going to actually feed it, if anything, and bring it on shore and everything with it, including this big mess.
Today's shout-out goes out to the students at Wordsworth Academy in Pennsylvania. When would you wear a mortar board? Is it while judging, graduating, welding, or scuba diving? You've got 3 seconds. Go! A mortar board is an academic cap, so you'd wear it while graduating. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
And that's what you seniors all across the U.S. are doing right now, putting on your mortar boards and graduation gowns as you get your diplomas. Finishing high school, as you know, doesn't automatically mean going on to college unless you go to Arupe Jesuit High in Denver, Colorado. Nelson Garcia of affiliate KUSA fills us in on the school's graduation streak.
The sounds are the same. And so are the excited faces. But the graduation here at Arupe Jesuit High School is like no other. This is the 4th year in a row every single senior is going to college.
60% of you all are the first in your families to graduate high school.
And it changes the history of our family. And it creates a whole different way of seeing the future.
Jose Madrid.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
He is valedictorian and one of 54 students who spent 1 day a week working in a corporation, earning money to pay for Arupe while getting business experience. School founder, Father Steve Planning, says that this is at the heart of Arupe's success.
They get to see, feel, and touch the future that we want them to have.
Though Arupe services low-income neighborhoods with obstacles that challenge every inner-city school,
the 54 of you have earned together a combined total of more than $3.85 million in merit-based scholarships.
That averages to more than $70,000 in scholarship money per student.
There was no opportunity for me to fail because so many people believed in me that I had to believe in myself.
Abilene Angeles, Colorado State University.
The sounds may be the same.
Jose Eduardo Madrid, Georgetown University.
But this graduation is like no other. It's the last ceremony for Father Planning. He's leaving.
It's always sad to leave anywhere, but it's particularly sad to leave a place that you were involved in the startup of. So it's going to be sad to say goodbye.
Leaving behind a thriving program, which continues to make a difference in Northwest Denver.
The school year is just about finished for us too. Just 2 more shows to go. There are lots of ways to stay in touch with us over the summer. You can always check out what you see right here. That's cnnstudentnews.com. We'll be posting new blogs there over the summer. Or you can head to our Facebook page, facebook.com/CNNStudentNews. Before we go, there are some things you just have to see to believe. This one, we're still not sure. This YouTube video shows a bear at a zoo in Japan. He's obviously got some smooth moves, but right here, watch this. He flips it up, waits for it to drop back down. He caught it, and he keeps on going. Now, we had a reporter check into this, and experts say it's possible with enough training. But you do have to pause and really think it over. I mean, do we believe it's real? Barely. Either way, it's food for thought. You guys have a great day. For CNN Student News, I'm Carl Azus.